Chasing Tales, Episode 40, Washed.
Welcome back to Chasing Tales, where we find the pieces are falling together. But will those in Haven be freed? Let's find out.
Sirik and Pink stand on a moving slidewalk that feeds into a portal. He grabs one of her hands to compel her to look at him.
Pink, I'm sorry I was unkind when we first met.
I understand why you were. By the way, I get Jack being my brother and sticking around all this time, but where do you come in?
I'm just someone Jack knows. I had the perfect place for you to crash.
Sirik sweeps his hand, directing her gaze to the starfield they're passing through. There are glitches now and then. It makes Pink uneasy.
What's that glitch?
Sirik drags his eyes away from her to follow her gaze. The field jumps again.
Must be damage from the spider. I got in touch with the boys at the lab and they're okay. They're just suffering the gremlins. When there are rips in the fabric, the moth does strange things. The higher tech we go, the more obvious it becomes. So brace yourself.
Pink squares her shoulders. In her mind, all she could think about was the silly little gremlins from the war cartoons. They pass through the portal, and a sight like she's never seen unfolds. A huge white city. Spires of every type rise into the air like candles on a cake. At this level, the buildings are clean and gleaming. Little pops of light come and go like fireflies, as people port from place to place. She leans over the side and looks down. It goes deep.
They have organized by class. The rich live in the sun, and the poor laborers in the shadow.
It taints the beauty of this part knowing that.
You wanted to know where the void goes? Look around. They've made all of this. It isn't without its problems, though. The higher tech you go, the more people get left behind. This is the highest tech we've seen so far. It will fail soon.
What makes you say that?
Sometimes ideas don't scale properly, and 7 billion is a lot of individuals to account for.
Will you save them?
No, my arrangement with them is not to interfere.
Don't you feel anything about losing so many at once?
Well, they are just toys. The void will fail and get heaven off our backs. Why do you think I want to bring the gods of your world here? They will be free, and I will have equals to work with. All of our experience should make it possible to come up with a higher tech world that doesn't implode.
Maybe. I would look at the math in humans. You'll have to tamper with them to make it work, though. At that level, things are so convenient there's little effort. Idleness makes one unhappy. Unhappy people become fearful and angry, and then tear down what they think is wrong, only to make the same mistakes again. Human memories and rebellion cycles are both too short to establish a maturity curve that's in line with the technology. This pattern of life is really limited in how far it can even go.
Sirik considers this information. Their sidewalk ends as they step off and into a building. Its quiet doors whisper as they pass. The whole place gives a sterile, spacey vibe with curved surfaces and glossy white. Guide lights on the floor laid out the path for them to go. She watches it as they follow. She becomes aware of an oppressive sadness closing in on them. They come to an intersection, and the floor says stop. The glass doors whisper shut. A horde of waiting pedestrians, going the other direction, pass by.
Directing pedestrian traffic this way seems excessive.
When your city is this big, you need traffic control.
Pink looks around them. On this side of the glass, she notices a crowd has closed in. They all stare at the floor. They seem unaware of each other, yet stand perfectly spaced apart so they don't touch. They're all dressed in gray coveralls. This is where the sadness was coming from. It wasn't the clothes, it was the vibration of people. Some of their jumpers had colored buttons to indicate some difference between them. Pink couldn't think of any reason before the doors whooshed open, and the traffic continued. She looked down at her jumpsuit, which was blue. She wondered what that meant.
Sirik, what's with the fashion sense in this place?
Something they are trying.
Pink made a pained face.
What's wrong?
Can't you feel them? They're so sad.
Sirik shrugs. Pink sends a soft, drifting wave of peace and contentment. It expands invisibly around her. The sadness lifts. They finally reach their destination, a large, dimly lit circular room. It looks like a small arena, with the center closed in by glass. Around it, there are seated several science types, in their blue jumpers and white lab coats. Sirik points out 2 empty seats near them. The hum of electronics ramps up. A humanoid figure appears in the center of the enclosure, lowered down with a hydraulic scoop. She gracefully stands and dances a few ballet positions and twirls. The music seems to come from inside her. The glass reflects her all around. It reminds Pink of a music box dancer. The figure stops and gracefully lowers her arms. One little guy in chunky glasses with a clipboard stands up.
Carla, tell us a story for Amanda.
Carla gracefully sits on the scoop and folds her hands in her lap. Next, she speaks, reciting a fairy tale, her voice clear and bright.
Once on the shore of a great island, there lived a little girl in a cottage.
The nerds behind the glass clap for themselves.
So you see, siblings, Carla will make the perfect nanny. Questions? Well, if that's the case, this is the end of the presentation this morning. We'll meet again in the afternoon session at the artillery range. I'll demonstrate Carla's defense capabilities.
The Poindexters leave, chattering excitedly to each other. Tenek walks up to Sirik and shakes his hand, but his eyes are on Pink.
You must be our guest. We owe you our research for saving us.
That's exactly what we're here for.
Pink shakes Tenek's hand. It feels different than the handshakes at the village. Colder. Insecure, like holding a cold, dead fish. She makes a face when he turns around. Sirik leans down.
Fix your math.
She straightens her face to something more pleasant and waits, only partly interested. She stares at Carla, the machine, her perfect body, smooth and motionless. The machine seems to know she's being watched. She looks up at Pink and winks at her.
Our friend here needs a new container.
This catches Pink's attention. She stands primly, hands folded, waiting for Tenek to speak. He walks around her, gives her bottom a little squeeze.
Hey.
She protests.
Sir, unhand me.
Just hold still. I'm measuring. Robots don't wiggle so much.
He holds up one hand. His glove is covered in sensors. He continues to measure Pink's proportions in the most uncomfortable ways possible. Sirik laughs at her.
Does it have to be just like the one she has? I could make some stabilization modifications.
Really?
No gates, no blocks of movement. Make it indestructible.
She a magic user?
Exclusively. Let's make this body shielding a priority against Base 6. But when it's not shielded for battle, let's keep the feminine softness, okay?
Sirik?
Sirik dismisses her with a casual wave. She steps away from Tenek as soon as he is finished, and watches the robot as they talk.
Wings?
Sirik looks at Pink with a sidelong glance.
Sure.
Color?
The color of her eyes.
Tenek walks over and grabs her face to hold her still to pinpoint the color.
Why didn't you just say blue?
Yeah. Wait, this body has brown hair and eyes. I'm sure of it. Carla, what do I look like?
Carla projects an image of her as she stands, blonde and blue-eyed.
What's happened? Was that from the wave?
Behind her, the men had moved on.
How soon?
6 days.
Sirik looks at Pink.
6 days' work?
She shrugs, not knowing if that's a fast turnaround or not.
Tenek, there will be a resource freeze. Nothing will regenerate for a little bit as we lie low. I'll keep you posted, but use what you have wisely.
They turn and the sigh of the door greets them. They follow the instructions on the floor until they're outside.
What a creep. And you couldn't prepare me or suggest a different method? Not even a defense of my honor?
I figured you could take care of yourself.
Oh. Yeah.
They decided to have a look at the city at ground level. It was gray concrete blocks of apartment pods. No shops, no gardens, no people. Just a narrow broken slide walk between buildings. But this is the bottom, where the workers live. A deep canyon of gray walls where the sun cuts across at intersections. In the library of the villa, Lachesis, Thane, and the angels sit working on their collective problem. Lachesis untangles events to see the reality underneath. Thane listens to Rat's thoughts in his head. The ruse covered the changes in the death ledgers, and now they're catching up. Sid and Otto are trying to decipher the possible events in the spider bomb, especially what the consequences might be for Pink. Aislinn studies Haven's layout. He'd only been in the small part around the Fountain Park and the Order's buildings. The city is much bigger, and that means more unsatisfied people could be out there somewhere. Aislinn stands suddenly. Lachesis and Sin look up.
I'm going to get tea.
They shrug and go back to their work. Quint catches him at the door with a cup of hot tea. He waves it away. Quint vanishes.
Okay, well, maybe I'll go for a walk.
He waits, tapping his curled hand on his hip, but nothing happens. He leaves to go walk in the garden. His eyes ache. He rubs them. He lights a cigarette on the veranda and looks out the portal. He notices a figure of a man coming toward him. He has curly black hair and a beard neatly kept. He wears a t-shirt and jeans with sandals. Once he had a fit, strong, slender body. Now he looks scrawny and tired. He carries a bottle in his hand. It's Jesus. He sadly shuffles past Aislinn to sit down.
Lord?
Do not lord me. I am not lord over anything anymore. Before we go in, can I talk to you a minute? Aislinn sits down next to Jesus. Quint suddenly appears with a fresh bottle of wine and 2 wooden cups.
Sir.
Quint disappears as suddenly as he arrived. Jesus throws the empty bottle into the field angrily and opens a new one.
Lachesis briefed you, right? You know you're important to the plan that we're hatching.
I understand how you think I'm important, but I don't see how I can help you. I'm powerless. Did you wonder why he left me, instead of sending me away with my parents?
Aislinn shrugs.
To make me an example of the old order under control. If I had been there, I could have stopped them. And to top it all off, I've been given a birthday party every year to remind me how useless I am. Listen, I don't know what to do. I'm just a man, stuck in limbo.
Jesus takes a swig from the bottle. He stands up and waves Aislinn in front of him.
Come on, let's get this meeting over with.
Aislinn drops his head and follows a dejected Jesus into the library where others are waiting. In the White City, Pink and Sirik walk down the empty crack between buildings. As always, she looks in the shadows for the lost.
You'll find them here, hopped up on Patch. Most stay indoors, but now and then you see one passed out on the slidewalk.
They come around the corner and what looks like a humanoid reaching for help, sprawled into the street.
What's happening to that person?
Pink moves forward to help, but Sirik catches her by the arm.
It's not a person. It's a service robot. One of the old ones.
There's a mechanical whirring of tiny saws and the squeak of gremlins. The top half of the figure slides back behind the dumpster.
The chip rats got to it. They will strip a machine to wire in minutes. People too if they get in the way. They were made to recycle machines into other machines, but now they are feral scavengers. They are aggressive if disturbed. I'd stay clear.
They walk to the far side of the way to give them a wide berth.
Would you like to see what Carla can do? We hunt far away.
Sure.
Pink looks at the group of chip rats. From this angle, she can see they're pieced together from different machines. There are chunks of logos, different paint, gears connected to new appendages. The rat on top of the pile raises its head and squeaks. It brandishes tiny robot arms with spinning saw blades at the ends. Its eyes glow red. They're nearly to the next intersection when a man-sized chip rat appears and lets out a battle cry. The sound is in a frequency that hurts Pink's ears. It charges at her. There's no time to think of anything. A lightning ball bursts from her chest. It slows the giant chip rat down a little, but it keeps coming. Pink glances at Sirik, who stands with his arms folded. There would be no help from him. Pink twists into the air on a waterspout. Water and lightning mix between her fingers. The chip rat seemed to know enough to stay out of the water, but gets as close as it can. He swipes at the spout with his giant paws. Pink drops the ball on the rat. Its back arches as the electricity and water short it out. The dying screams turn glitchy as it sparks and twitches into silence. Sensing a failed machine, the chip rats from before come and attack. Pink summons a wave that barrels down the street, cleaning the bottom third of the buildings on either side. When the wave hits, the rats scatter. Sirik floats above the water, casually watching her. After the rats drown, Pink uses a whirlwind to scoop up all the machines. She drops them in a dumpster. Sirik touches down, and Pink's water spout brings her back to the ground as they speed walk away from the scene.
Gremlins. Scary, but not waterproof. Good to know.
In the villa, Pink's team sits with Jesus in the library.
Look, I understand what you're trying to do. I've tried to free them. You don't know what you're facing here.
But you do. Now listen here, mate. If there's anyone who can find the loophole, it's Pink.
Orders is behind you, and all the first gens would be happy to fight if it came to it. They just need to hear the word from you.
We don't have all of the first gens. Some are happier, somehow, with the status quo. And one of my generals is missing.
Well, let me guess. An alien.
Now I know why she likes you, Ace.
We should wait on Pink to see what her plan is.
You have to stay shielded. You'll need to keep it as secret as possible. If we are going to get in, we'll need the opener. He is still alive. Somewhere. You may never catch him. I only know one person who can summon him, and she's not here. Additionally, the price for his services can be high.
For us to go unnoticed, we will need a distraction. Could we call on help for this?
Would they even be willing to help?
Lucy owes Pink a favor.
Lucy has a good reason to hate this imposter more than anyone else.
And don't forget, we've got Jack.
Pink and Sirik passed through the portal into Starlight. They had been to see Carla's defenses, and Pink's mind is humming with possibilities.
That was so amazing. She took a direct hit from a missile. All kinds of gunfire and not a scratch on that beautiful armor.
She is pretty indestructible. You will be too after your new body is finished.
They walk in silence for some time. On the way to the lodge, they passed the little cottage he had made for her.
Siri, could I have this house you made for me?
Of course you can. Would you like to stay there from now on?
I would feel more autonomous. But you can visit often if you like. I don't wander. I have too much work to do.
Sirik feels a pang of disappointment, but he knows things she, for the moment, does not. They enter the hunting lodge. There's a loud cheer as they come in.
Come, Steve, for dinner.
Astral adds 2 place settings and brings fresh mead.
So, how did it go?
Pretty well, we got the new body order.
That tonic is a little handsy. Did you slap him?
No, I try not to slap people if I don't know how powerful they are.
Paria shakes her head.
Alright, boys, pay up. She be nice to him.
I had told you she was a lady.
I am never taking your tips again. This is the 3rd time, Samia.
Ay, so I had that one. So disappointing.
Here's mine. Can't wait for the challenge. You'll show us who you are then, won't you, Pink?
Challenge?
Never mind that now.
Bayard, here's your share. We'll spend it all on her.
She fought chip rats by herself, and I have to say she did a fine job.
Hear, hear.
Aye, now we've eaten and business is done. You know what time it is, Pink?
I think I'm ready for that song now.
Pink gets up and stands on a stool so everyone can hear her.
Yeah, give us a song.
I present to you the Hunters of Starlight. Bayard's a charmer, now girls watch yourselves. He may still find you in spite of himself. His bad luck is legend spread far, and it's said that an accident found him in his landlady's bed. Tim Sonu's a wanderer, he cannot sit still.
Samia whispers in Pink's ear. She suddenly changes direction.
Well, in that case. Sammy is a wild one, a twig of a thing, but if you insult Tim, she'll make her bird sing. She's like a nymph and he's built like a tree, and so together they hunt happily. Hey ho, the wind how it blows, the animals hide, but these hunters all know when you run them to ground and you string them upright. All here in starlight eat meat every night. Jay is a master, he's oh so polite. He slits your throat quick but once had to take flight. Now when you see him you'll find he's no dope, 'cause when he goes hunting he uses a scope. Maria's the leader in leather and leaves. She never gets caught 'cause she never wears sleeves. She brings in the food and she fixes it right. No one goes hungry in starlight tonight. Hey ho, the wind how it blows, the animals hide, but these hunters all know when you run them to ground and you string them upright. All here in starlight eat meat every night. Jacob, oh Jacob, a burly young man. He's got some hands the size of great hams. When he does his work to part every beast, he always cuts even except for his piece. Astral's the brewer, she keeps the team tight, wakes us for dawn and sends us off right. She keeps the hunters from losing their shirts. Pass me some meat, 'cause that's my last verse. Sing along with me. Hey ho, the wind how it blows, the animals hide, but these hunters all know when you run them to ground and you string them upright. All here in starlight eat meat every night.
Well sung, thank you. Hey, what can I get of this?
You'll have to take that up with your ladies, sir.
The team has decided what they want to do. Now they need a plan. Stay tuned for the next exciting season of Chasing Tales. Episode 41, The Nines.
Well, that wraps up another season of Chasing Tales. We hope you enjoyed it. We sure had fun doing it. If you did, comment and like the video, and share it with a friend. More importantly, come back for Season 6. See you on the clip side.